Greetings, and welcome to 2 and technically 3 of continuing coverage of HorrorFest. Let's see. Ended up watching, day 2 was House on Haunted Hill, Cabin Fever, and trying to remember. House on Haunted Hill, Cabin Fever, and another one. Anyway. Oh, Prom Night. Actually, I'll start with Prom Night. Prom Night was pretty much the first movie that I saw that was a horror film. And I saw this at the age of probably 7 or 8. So for all you Republicans out there that are freaking out over that, well, thank Jamie Lee Curtis for somewhat creating Captain Grindhouse. Good film. I've never seen the remake. And if I did, actually I might have seen a little bit of the remake, I just didn't really watch it, didn't pay much attention to it. Because the first one was just, the very original was just, it's very hard to compete with an 80s slasher classic. So overall, it was a decent movie and kind of a shocking little film in the beginning. I remember the scene with the little girl, and I was kind of surprised Leslie Nielsen was in it. I didn't even remember him being in it when I first saw it. Of course, I didn't know who the hell Leslie Nielsen was, but still. The next film after that was House on Haunted Hill, Vincent Price classic, great movie. Actually, wait, let me backtrack a bit. The next film was probably one of the internet's, I don't know if it's split down the middle, like Man of Steel might have been, or Batman Superman, but people either like or really hate Cabin Fever. Myself, I kind of liked it. I thought it was a decent movie. I thought it was, I love the gore to it. The gore was great. And if you get the DVD version, of course, you get it with Chick Vision as well, which is kind of a clever special feature. But for those of you that didn't see it, it's basically 5 people go to this cabin for a vacation after getting out of school for like a week or some finals or whatever. And they end up with a skin rash. That turns into a skin disease that basically eats them from within. Add that to the fact that you've got a bunch of rednecks from every other exploitation movie you can more or less possibly think of, from like 2000 Maniacs to like, pretty much 2000 Maniacs somewhat. Maybe a little bit of Hills Have Eyes, like, but I don't know, minus the radiation. So then after that, you've got the rednecks, you've got the disease, you've got the fact that the people are all fighting with each other, and none of them are really super likable. The 2 girls in the movie, they're at least a little more likable than the guys. The guys in the film are just fucking irritating, in my humble opinion. I won't give away the ending, but it was a decent ending to it, and it had some dark comedy to it, which I kind of liked. The film after that, of course, was House on Haunted Hill. Vincent Price as an eccentric millionaire by the name of Frederick Loren. Him and his wife throwing a throwing like this haunted house party in which the guests stay. If they can survive the night, they'll get 10 grand. Back then, 10 grand was probably a lot of money. Special effects are decent in it. It's one of those really old school black and white horror films, though, so it's not super, you're not going to get any gore in it, really. But there's a great scene with a skeleton in it, and an acid vat. I won't give away too much more, but it's decent. It's a good story, and it's very Of course, if it's Vincent Price, he's pretty much good in anything. That was day 2. Day 3 was Funeral Home, and I'm trying to remember the other one. Oh, Last Man on Earth. Again, Vincent Price movie. Last Man on Earth is basically Vincent Price is. It's based on Richard Matheson's I Am Legend. Vincent Price wakes up. He's pretty much the last man on Earth. He's a scientist trying to figure out this deadly plague that was sweeping across Europe. Ends up hitting the U.S., turns a bunch of people into vampiric zombies. And if you've read the book, or even, I'm sure there's a graphic novel version of it somewhere or two, or if you've seen the movie, or if you've seen like Omega Man or Will Smith's I Am Legend, or just even I Am Omega is pretty similar, and that's the one with the guy who was in the TV version of The Crow. Decent movie. It's basically one of this like scientists race against time type of deal. It was pretty. It was pretty. Uh, I want to say a little darker than I thought it'd be, even for a Vincent Price movie. But decent ending. Not really a twist ending, but maybe the book was a little nicer. But anyway. And of course, the film I saw after that was Funeral Home with Kay Haltry, I think was her name. She plays this grandmother who has her granddaughter come up, and they want to turn the former funeral home that her and her husband worked into a bed and breakfast. And it's kind of got like a lot of there's like the groundskeeper who's sort of mentally challenged. It's kind of a cliche in some horror films, admittedly. It's pretty much just got a bunch of people that are either okay, likable somewhat, or just plain you don't really care what happens to them. In fact, you really, really, really don't care because they're just like I kind of called this one part where I knew one of the women in the film, she was going to get killed. I mean, that was just so predictable. What wasn't predictable was the identity of the killer. And looking back on it, I'm not sure who did it. The movie will make you think it's going to be one person, and by the time you're done with the film, you're probably going to be thinking along the same lines as I was, that it wasn't who you thought it was. A good 80s slasher film. Probably one of the first 80s ones. This came out in 1980. So, anyway, that wraps up the coverage for day 2 and day 3. And tonight, day 4, haven't decided what I'll be watching yet. So, until then, this has been The Grindhouse. Very well.